Why did you cheat on your partner? So simply put, she cheated on me, so I cheated back. Age: when story started 22, age now 30. The story gets a lot more dramatic. I worked as a pizza delivery guy at the time. I came home from work one day with chocolates and flowers for her. We had been together for 5 years at this point, and she was screwing another guy in our bed. As soon as I entered my apartment and heard sex noises, I knew. I snuck into the frame of my bedroom door and witnessed the act with my own two eyes. They never even noticed I was there. I was so hurt by the situation, which I should have confronted head on, that I left my own house and went to my buddy's house and smoked a blunt. He told me I should let her know I caught her and see how she reacted, but I didn't. I was just trying to rationalize what I did wrong a lot. Several hours later, I returned home, gave her the chocolate and flowers, and continued like nothing was wrong. It was a fool. Needless to say, she got ready for her job, which was a night shift security guard, and left around 7 p.m. I sat there for several hours crying after she left. Around 10,000 million, our roommate called and asked if I could come up to her job and see what was going on with her car. The roommate is also my significant other's best friend. I went up there, figured out the issue with that POS car, and got her back to the house. The battery cable was messed up, if anyone was wondering. After the roommate got home, she cooked dinner, spaghetti and garlic bread. I ate and sat on the couch. I proceeded to stay on that couch, knowing what had occurred in my bed earlier during the day. About 300 I had the biggest emotional breakdown. I began crying to the point I could no longer breathe. As I sat in the dark crying, the roommate came and sat down beside me, pulled my head into her lap, and rubbed my head. I'm not quite sure how long we stayed there like that, but I eventually fell asleep. I woke up the following day on the couch, with my significant other waking me up. I proceeded to go through this day, as well holding in my emotions, like an idiot. After she left for work again around 7 p.m, I just sat there for hours. Eventually, that evening I wrote a letter addressing my feelings and the cheating. It was about 3 pages long. The roommate came in shortly after 10 p.m. and did her evening routine, showering and all that. What happened next surprised me. As I lay on the couch, she came and began to talk to me. She stated she could tell something was wrong. So I told her about the cheating that I had witnessed and all that. I think she was in utter shock, because she didn't say anything for like 10 minutes after I told her. This next part is the most shocking, because I wasn't expecting it. It also should have been a huge red flag. Asterisk. The roommate asked me, "Do you want to fuck me?" to get back at her. I never answered yes, I just jumped on her. We did many different things that night. I also had a new experience with girls who like to be choked. So here is the part where shit goes down. Still not the craziest part. I fell asleep on the couch after that night, only to be woken up by arguing around 0700 hours. My significant other had gotten home, and her and the roommate were arguing. The roommate confronted my SO about cheating. The words that came out of the roommate's mouth next were stupid. "That's why I let your man fill me up while you were working, bitch." Those are fighting words. Well, that is exactly what happened, a fight. The fight carried on with me, trying to break it up to no avail. Entry was then made by 2 cops. Found out later that the neighbors called because they could hear it. Roommate got tased. So got tackled, both of them went to jail. Several hours later, the roommate returned after her mother bonded her out. She told me we would talk about this situation later and left for work. My significant other then came by with her sister and dad around 1100 p.m. that night and packed all her clothes and other property. I also had her take the bed because I didn't want it. She left that evening only saying, "I guess you know, in breaking up with you." I just shook my head. Yay, and she left. So we're gonna fast forward a little to about 8 months later. Little tidbit: roommate got pregnant from our one night stand. The roommate was also still staying with me still. Roommate goes into labor. I take her to the hospital, and after 14 glorious hours of labor, we welcomed our beautiful daughter into this world. After my daughter was born, I went outside to smoke a cigarette, and across the parking lot I noticed someone who looks quite familiar, loading a baby in a pickup truck. Hers about 400 feet across a parking lot. At night, I shrugged it off, sure I was over-analyzing the situation. I had myself convinced it wasn't my ex. Well, I was wrong. About 3 months later, I get served with some civil paperwork from an attorney requesting I submit to a paternity test. After looking through all the paperwork with an attorney of my own, he was able to provide me with a date the child was born, which was a day before my daughter's birth. I knew then I did see her at the hospital that day. I took the paternity test. I was indeed the father. After a lengthy child custody case, I pay for $120 a month in child support and get my son 2 weekends out of the month. I'm also married to the roommate and have a 7-year-old daughter and son now. I did indeed feel like a piece of shit how that whole incident unfolded, but I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. A little advice: communication in a relationship is key. Also, if you don't want no babies, use protection. Although don't cheat, it's just not good. Story 2. Because my wife told me that she was no longer interested in having sex with me. She didn't want me having it with anyone else, and she forbade me from watching porn or masturbating. I still did the latter, but we could never discuss it or she'd freak out. So to get my sexual needs met by someone other than myself for several years. A few times per year I paid a sex worker for a happy ending massage. This was still cheating, but I rationalized it as the mildest form of cheating possible. No chance of an STI. No chance of an unwanted pregnancy. No emotional involvement. I knew it was wrong, but at the time I felt like it was my best choice out of several lousy choices. I realize now I should have just said at the time, I want a divorce. That's where we ended up anyway. And I would have saved myself, my wife, and our kids some needless pain over the years. By cheating on her and hiding it from her, I made it so much worse when she eventually found out. To cheaters on here, I would say, get out of your relationship. If you're cheating, you're clearly not happy. Do yourself and your partner a favor and just end it now, before it all goes to hell. Story 3. Because I truly had no idea what a healthy or functional relationship looked like. My parents were married for almost 30 years and had already started the cycle of cheating on each other well before I was born. My grandma used to tell me stories of being friends with my grandpa's girlfriends because she just wasn't toxic and jealous like other women. In the relationship where I cheated, I was being treated like garbage, financially supporting us both even though I was 10 years younger and a waitress, enduring a lot of abuse from a very broken man. I felt trapped in the same cycle I had watched my mom and my grandma live. I didn't really know better. A guy at work started paying attention to me, and I loved it. He was sweet and poetic and romantic, committed to helping his sister raise his niece, was out of the house and working instead of drinking my paycheck away and punching holes in my walls. A little harmless work flirting quickly escalated, and before I knew it, I was having a holeless affair. I started to prepare myself to leave my boyfriend for my affair partner. When I found out that my boyfriend had been cheating on me with anyone he could find on Craigslist, including stealing money from me to pay sex workers, any guilt I felt for cheating evaporated right then. I threw all my clothes in a trash bag and drove to my affair partner's house, ready to start our new life together. He had another girl over, basically admitted that a lot of what he had said to me was because he thought I would never leave. All in all, it was a mess. If you're unhappy in your relationship, do the work that will either fix it or get you out. That new person is flawed too. They won't fix you or fulfill you. Only you can do that.